Howdy. Okay, hi. I had to shut the video off, so I restarted it. This is the layout that I have right now, and I haven't read anything yet. I literally just pulled these cards. I hate when readings are like that because it always gives you that little bit of like, you picked those on purpose. But what would be the benefit of that? I don't even know what I'm about to be talking about. I have no reference. So this is the cards that I've pulled thus far, and we're just going to go from here. Hope you're having a good day. Hope that you're blessed. Hope that you had a good sleep. And yeah, okay, let's get into whatever this reading is. We have the Knight of Wands in the upright, followed by the Fool in the reverse, followed by the Eight of Cups in the upright. And then we have clarification down here. Yeah, let's turn these cards over too. So under the Knight of Wands, we have the Star. Under the Fool in the reverse, we have the Six. What is the Six, right? Seven of Swords. And the Six of Swords in the reverse. Okay. I actually like the way this looks as well, because these cards are both yellow, these cards are both blue, these cards are both a paler blue. So they definitely seem to line up that way. Alright, let's see. Let's see here. The Knight of Wands in the upright. Passion, intuition, not just intuition, education, experiential education. You know, it's taking the cycles that one has been through in the past and using the strength built on those things in order to move forward. And, you know, like this guy, like, you know, he kind of symbolizes fire. So there's a lot of passion there. And directly under that, we have the Star. So immediately I'm getting this energy of, you know, moving forward into one's destiny, embracing one's destiny as an individual and the power that one has as an individual in order to accomplish many tasks, or any task, rather, really, that's at hand. So it's overall quite positive. But we do have the Fool in the reverse, which is kind of a caution to consider one's steps, to not just rush into things, to take one's time, through consideration. Not just, you know, like temperance is kind of being patient and waiting on divine timing. The Fool in reverse is more continue moving forward, but do it slowly. Be very considerate of the steps that you take. And it's not just doing things on faith. It's also having some sort of knowledge behind that. So that's a caution. And I guess even what I'm receiving from this too is because it's a yellow card, like that's like caution, like, you know, you have a green light means go, yellow means caution, red means stop, right? And so I'm almost getting that from these two too, because directly under that is the Seven of Swords, which like I generally tend to read as like being a bit greedy. Like you're already carrying all these swords, but you're looking at these two like, oh, I can take those two too. Or in the, not the reverse, but in opposition to that, it can also be like feeling inadequate somehow, that you have all these swords and that there's still more to carry. So this sense of like, you know, not fully feeling overwhelmed that way, but seeing that there's still more to be done. And in the caution, I'm getting this feeling of like, in tow with the Fool in reverse, it's like, consider what it is that you already have, what you're already working with, and maybe prioritize if you want to put a couple of your swords down and to carry these swords, or one of your swords down and to carry one of those. It's about prioritizing. so that you can ensure that you are able to carry everything without overburdening yourself. This feels like a personal reading right now because this is exactly the energy that I'm in right now. I have so many different skills, so many different things going for me, and I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize them in a way where like I can sustain, I can create this actual full stability. I've done things long enough now that people generally like give me respect for the things that I do. They already trust that, like, they know what to expect from the work that I do, because everything I've done, I've already done. Even these oracle readings and stuff like that, like, because I've communicated publicly for some time and shared my spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, and been able to counsel people and stuff like that over the years, people already kind of know what to expect from me, can already trust these different things, and people are giving me the respect for that stuff generally, which is wonderful. That's what frustrates me with the adult content stuff, because, and it always happens, I have people who are quite satisfied with the bare minimum that I give them, and I charge what I'm worth, and they are happy to pay it. But then I also have people that are always coming in and acting like I owe them something, or like I'm just out here trying to get their money, when it's like, are you making porn of yourself and selling it? And if you are, then why are you complaining? Like, I'm literally giving you something extremely personal and valuable in exchange for these things. I don't know who you think you are that you would be owed anything that I have to offer at all whatsoever, especially somebody online that doesn't know me. That's insane. But you get it. You get it. And like, I'm sure that it comes that way. It comes that way across with any company. You know what I mean? Any business that you're trying to do, anytime you're trying to make money, there's always somebody that's like, oh, you're really charging that much for the crocheting that you do? Because there's somebody else that crochets way better and they charge a lot less. And it's like, then go to that person. I have people that are paying me what I am worth, so I don't really need you. Like, I would literally take a hit financially before I would settle for that type of behavior and treatment, to be honest. I would suggest that anybody do that too. We need to set these very set standards as to what we're doing, because we can't just, if you allow people to walk all over you, they will continue to. I've already given breaks to different people by making things super cheap, super flexible, by working all these different things out. And it ends up just having people now thinking that they can just treat you however they want. I don't need that around. Definitely don't need it. So I don't know where that came from, but it is kind of about that too. Like, prioritizing, you know, those that actually do value you over those that don't. Being able to determine those things. That is something that's come up in my personal life. Because I am still toxic myself. I have an attraction towards people that I don't like when I'm actively disrespected, but I also like get very turned off by simping type behavior. When it comes to the work that I do, that's all great and good. I'll work with it. But when it comes to like trying to establish an actual personal relationship with somebody that's based on romance of any kind, any sort of intimacy that way, sexuality, those types of things, I don't like to be simped after. I like to be the simp. I'm very subby that way, but I'm also a brat. Like, so I have these, you know, I have these standards for those different types of things, and like, so like a perfect dude who has everything going for him, who fits all of my standards that I could possibly have for a partner, respects my boundaries, treats me well, is willing to support me in different ways, all these types of things. Like, I still struggle with them if they're too willing to give me those things, in comparison to someone who only communicates with me whenever they want something from me. No, I don't like that, and I don't appreciate that either, and I'm learning to not give myself to those people. But I also am learning, like, why so many people are not attracted to me being in that energy, right? It just is what it is. And that's the constant, anxious avoidant attachment. People that have trauma from abandonment and neglect and rejection tend to be anxious, avoidant, attached. And that is something that I am getting pretty good about managing, but that's always been my natural toxicity that I'm still working out. Okay. I'm like, well, honestly, I think diet soda is even more toxic than regular soda, but I'm kind of like the sugar-free version of a soda. Even that I think is probably even more toxic than regular soda. But I'm like, I'm like a seltzer water in comparison to a soda where I've been, right? I used to be pretty blatantly toxic, but like in a way that was fun and enjoyable. And now I'm like less fun and enjoyable in certain ways for certain people looking for certain things. But for those that are looking for something healthy, I still have a bit of like it's like a little treat, right? And we always treat ourselves with things that are unhealthy. I don't know why we do that. Well, it's a treat, so I can cheat. Cheating is a treat. That's not a healthy mindset whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure that fizzy drinks, although they can benefit you in small increments, aren't something good to continuously consume. I'm pretty sure that it's not healthy for you. At least that's what I've learned. So it's kind of like that. Being water would be absolutely the best. There are times that I am water. There's times that I'm seltzer water. There's still some times that I'm soda. I'm working on that one though. Okay, so that's part of it, right? We're not just prioritizing the material. We're also prioritizing the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, all of these different things. We're using everything that we've learned through our experiences. We're embracing the path and the destiny that comes with those things. Each one of us, all of our personal experiences, all of the things that we have to offer are extremely valid. So extremely valid that each one of us is a star. But it's about taking those things that we have, pulling the education out of them, and then being able to find a way in order to offer that, right? And it doesn't always just even have to be education. It can be entertainment. Personally, I believe in a balance between both. But I do think if you get a little too heavy on one or the other, you end up missing out on a large part of the experience of existence. That's the nice thing about when people are able to get those things from you, is that they can choose if it's within their balance or not. And it's not in your responsibility to make sure that they're doing that. But you want to do that for yourself, right? I've been thinking about it a lot, obviously, just because of what I do for work in general. Not all I do for work. For work, usually what I'm doing is caregiving. I'm literally often a living caregiver, or I prefer to do live-in type work or to do in-home care because facilities fucking suck. I just don't like the idea of somebody being able to make six figures off of enslaving other people and wasting the rest of the money that they have worked their entire lives for to give them extremely limited care while they go and live their fancy lives. And that's how most facilities end up working. In-home care, though, is very different, and I prefer in-home care. Live-in care is great because then I have just a higher level of responsibility, so I can do more. The more responsibility I have, the better I am at controlling things, right? Including myself. And so that way, I like to do, care for the house, care for the pets, care for the people, care for their families, care for the social aspects of things that are happening. I like to kind of do all of that. It fulfills the thing in me. I was raised to be a housewife, but I'm a single woman without kids at 35. So that fulfills me in a way where I'm able to offer everything that I've grown into, these skills that I was trained with, in a way that also is fulfilling for others. So that's what I normally do. However, I've continued to do artistry, music, comedy, adult content on the side. I've picked up this spiritual work. But I've always done different types of counseling. you know, I do dream interpretation. I do like ads and promos and photo edits and different types of networking for people. I give advice to people in industry, specifically entertainment industry, whether it be art, music, comedy, whatever. I do a lot, and those are all different things that I do, not just to supplement income. I do it to supplement income, but really that's not my end goal. My end goal is to have those as my entire career and something that I do, and then I can just like enjoy my life while I'm also putting my skills and my experiences to good use. And I just like, yeah, I like to use my body in different ways. Like, I guess like it's weird because the porn thing for me, like I draw porn and I make porn, and I haven't ever really done it with a partner. I did with an ex once, but only once. That's the only time that I've ever made actual content with a partner. And that was like 6 years ago, if not more. That was like 6 years ago or so. And aside from that, everything that I do is just by myself, and it's something that I do like, one, because I like to do it from a photographer standpoint. I like the way that it can look, and I like to be my own model in those types of ways. And I'm a recovering porn addict. So finding ways to kind of be able to still engage in pornography, but where I'm not going to the red zones that I would tend to if I was just watching online porn. I like porn. I don't personally have a problem with it. But I think that it can be very dangerous, you know, and I don't think that it serves the ultimate best purposes. For me, it's something that I really am constantly trying to work out, largely in part because, like, a big thing for me is just the fact that, like, it speaks on the fullness of who I am as a person. I want to show people that I can be given to those types of things the same way my comedy, that I can be given to like the most unhinged type of comedy, that I can be given to these types of, you know, things, but then also be given to other things that are normally considered just completely separate from one another. I'm a very real person, and I care very much to show people that it's okay to be real. And it's okay to embrace every aspect of yourself. And it's better to be honest than it is to try to portray some sense of perfection when, you know, I don't want to be somebody that does this type of stuff in secret. And I, you know, as a caregiver, I always kind of step into the world of my clients and just meld into their world. And it's not about me personally. And it's not about my personal belief systems or, you know, what I do in my personal life or anything like that. But at the same time, that ends up also like, I more and more like I want to be able to have a career doing the things that I actually do for myself, so that when I'm given to those types of things, people aren't like, oh goodness, this is the person taking care of my grandfather. It's difficult, but like I've literally, because I've kept those things separate, I've been in positions as a hospice care nurse where, I mean, this person was putting their life in my hands, right? And their well-being in my hands, and even their spiritual well-being at the most important time of their life for that, at the time that they're crossing over into the next life. And they're entrusting it with me, that whole experience, they're putting it in my hands and having me hold their hands while they walk through that. I've taken that extremely seriously, and I've never disappointed any of my clients that way. Every single one of my clients that I've ever cared for, as far as in-home care, as far as being a caregiver, as far as being in hospice, any of those types of things, they have always been extremely pleased with the job that I did. Their families have been extremely thankful for me, and my clients have been extremely thankful for me. I have been called an angel by the people that I've cared for time and time and time and time again. And I take that seriously. I take that role seriously. I'm not an angel. I'm just somebody that cares. But if that's what somebody wants to, I can receive the compliment. It's not for me to sit there and dictate somebody's belief systems. And if somebody's literally about to lose their shit because they're on their way out and they see me as an angel, I'm okay fulfilling that role for them. That brings them a sense of comfort. At the same time, people have thought that I'm a demon because I'm given to being quite comfortable with my sexuality and quite open with my sexuality. People have seen that as a lack of discipline, but I have more sexual discipline than the average person I tend to meet. I don't have a problem going without it. I don't have a problem not masturbating. I don't have a problem not engaging sexually. I do it because I'm in control of it and because I like to express myself that way. I'm very in tune with my sexuality. I consider it very sacred, and I like to explore that aspect of myself. I don't see anything wrong with that. So again, it's not for me to dictate somebody else's feelings about those things. I get why people feel the ways they do, especially if they adhere to Christian standards. But I don't agree with that. Just like I don't actually think I'm an angel. That's why I want to make these things more cohesive. Because like, I had a hospice job that I did where the family relied on me so much for bringing their family dynamic together and for healing in that space, which I'm very, very good at. I am. But so much of that comes also because I'm like, it's not about me, right? So they don't really know me personally. And after their father had passed, then they kind of wanted to get to know me personally. And I had to put up a wall against that because I realized that, like, you guys can't be on my social media and see the things that I post because it will distort the sense of the care that I was giving to you. Now, I think that a couple of those members of the family would be able to process it and get it, and they were okay with who I am as a person. But like the man's wife and another one of their kids, like they saw me in such a pure light that I was like, I'm not trying to ruin that for you, and I'm not trying to have you question the care that I was giving to your family member. But I don't like those things being so separate, and I don't like feeling like I have this whole secret double life that I'm living. Because that's not what it is. I just take my jobs very seriously. I am able to separate and prioritize things a certain way and in order to be as effective at my jobs as possible. Every single job that I have. And I've tried to branch out in all of these different ways so that I'm taking on this fullness of all of these different realms and things that seem to be somehow conflicting, and just to show that they're truly not, especially not through the individual. But again, it's just important for me to continue to work on that and to create a more cohesive aspect of that. I'm not opposed to even bringing more adult-oriented type work into the other work that I do. I've considered different types of ways to do that. But I also like there to be a separation in those types of things too. And for people to be able, I don't have a problem separating myself from my sexuality. So like, although I might come across online as very sexual and I might be open to a lot of different sexual exploration, that isn't something like that's, it's not, if I'm taking care of your relative, that isn't going to be part of it. I can completely, I don't think, if you can't separate those things, I don't know if you should be being able to be a caregiver, to be honest. If you sexualize everything, yeah, you shouldn't be able to get to see people naked. Bathing people and stuff like that, that's crazy. So it's very important to be able to separate those things. And like generally, like coworkers, nurses, different people that are in that industry, they get it. They can understand because there are those people that have learned how to separate those things. It just gets difficult for a lot of people that don't really get that people that care for people are also people. Especially when somebody cares very well for others, right? Then it's like, I think people forget that you also have to care well for yourself. And I've been guilty of that myself. I've tended to, when I'm caring for others, prioritize them so much so that I start to not care for myself properly. To the point where it's like, did you even shower in the last 3 days? Like, are you cleaning yourself properly? Where it's like, I'll get to it. I'm taking care of these things. The whole house will be spotless. Everybody will be healthier than they've ever been in their lives. Everybody's so happy, and I'm just like torturing myself. I'm learning how to balance those things out because I found myself in quite embarrassing situations being that way. And even this past time when I was working 24/7. So like I was finding myself like not really caring for myself, and I was then like coping with the stress by overeating, and then I gained like 30 pounds in 2 months. It was, thankfully, plus I tend to gain 30 pounds every time I go to Wisconsin anyways. It's kind of just a thing. Thankfully my body, I'm like Oprah, like it fluctuates very easily. There's times that I pack on the weight, there's times that I pack it off. I'm at a fine weight right now, but I definitely want to be more physically fit. This is all just about prioritizing. I know this is like a whole bunch of random information in the middle of the reading, but I'm hoping that it also because that's kind of what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking all of these different personal aspects of yourself, including all of the karmic cycles that you've been through, all the things you wouldn't necessarily be so proud of admitting to or so happy to put on your resume, but all of those things truly are part of who you are. And when it comes to an existential resume, when it comes to, as we move into the future, that's actually going to be something that changes a lot and that people are going to have to step into. We're in this new world, like, you're not going to be able to be some piece of shit person that's always treated everybody terribly, never actually had anything in balance in your life. Behind the scenes, everything's just utter chaos, or you're like a despicable, predator of some type or anything like that, while you're able to make millions being one of our greatest doctors or one of our greatest psychologists or one of our favorite entertainers. We're working on that not being the case any longer. And so part of that is going to come with the individual being able to fully embrace who they are and being able to move forward in those things with passion, with genuineness, like I said, like this, like it's a passion card. If sexuality is one of my passions, if my sexuality is one of my own passions, if it's something I very much care for myself, I can't continue to separate myself from that just to be a decent person, because ultimately a decent person isn't somebody who is ultimately dishonest, right? And I'm not trying to be dishonest, but as long as I keep those things fully separate and don't fully integrate those things, it does come across as dishonest at some point in time, right? And I'm finding more and more too, thankfully, like most of my clients tend to be people like in their 60s, 70s, 80s. When I first started caregiving, it seemed a lot more like the older generations were so traditional that like you had to kind of almost put up a front in order just to appease them. But we're moving forward where the people that are aging are people that like were in the free love movement back in the 60s and 70s and stuff, like they're people that are okay with people being people. And that's also going to help us move forward collectively into this new world, the new age, where the individual that you are, the star that you are, the person that you are, unclothed, completely bare, is within balance, because that individual aspect is what's valued, not how willing you were to compromise yourself in order to fit a certain standard. We're doing away with that. And that's because it's created these insane power structures where predators and narcissists and people that are willing to hurt, throw people under the bus, hurt other people, prey on other people, kill other people for money, status, power. That's the system that this has created, and we're doing away with that. That is not going to exist much longer, and I'm so thankful for it. But part of what's going to look like the reestablishment of something sustainable is this embracing the individual aspect. Every single thing that you've been through is education for you to bring to the table, is a gift that was given to you to find a way to give to others. So that's part of like the Fool too, is like to know yourself. The Fool in the reverse is like take a moment to step back and reflect on who you really are. Prioritize what it is that you really are trying to bring to the table. What it is that you really want to use. Because like the sword also tends to represent truth, right? And so it's like there's a lot of truths here, but you can only carry so much. You can only present so much. You can only work with so much. And so it's prioritizing those things as well. It's not that I've been dishonest to be so respectful of other people's beliefs in caregiving that I have put my own truth on the back burner in many ways. That wasn't dishonest, but it also isn't, now that I'm taking the time to step back and like really look at myself, it's not fully reflective of who I really am as a person. Because I highly enjoy my sexuality. I really do. I don't even have to be engaging sexually to highly enjoy my sexuality. It's always been a part of me. It has literally always been a part of me, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I like that about me. I got it from my grandma. My grandma was also a little fox herself. I'm her namesake. Like, that's something that was passed down to me, and I embrace that, and I love that, and I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think that I have a responsibility to validate that it's not a bad thing. As long as I'm trying to keep these things hush-hush and, keep these things so separate from themselves, I'm only validating that these things could potentially be received as negative, and they're not. If I want people to be able to trust me to do a job that I know I do extremely well, without having to sacrifice who I truly am as a person in order to fulfill that, it takes being able to embrace these things. I don't have to be lewd and crude in front of my clients, but I also don't have to be so meek and timid and prudent that they get the wrong impression of me, right? And it's about finding a balance with that. And so then we move into the Eight of Cups in the upright, which is, this is low tide, the moon's out, and this is low tide. And what it's done is that it's revealed, there's not just these cups on top, there's also these cups on the bottom. And it's revealed these cups that are on the bottom. It's revealed that there's actually far more cups to work with, right? Low tide being, when you're fully exposed, when things maybe aren't going right, when maybe everything isn't full and abundant, that's when all of a sudden these other cups are being revealed. But this is also being willing to walk away from what doesn't serve you in that way. To look at what it is that you have, to be honest about what it is that's really underneath that surface, and to be willing to move in a direction that is better for you. I always tend to take this card positively. I suppose in the inverse it would be, don't walk away too soon before all of these things are revealed. It kind of has that Five of Cups energy where, like, there's 3 cups that are spilled, there's 2 cups behind you. You're so focused on the 3 cups that are spilled, you don't notice the 2 cups behind you. Similarly, you could be so focused on the 3 cups that are normally represented when tide is up that you don't even take the time to wait for the rest of those things to be revealed, or you walk away too soon. So that's also because it's being represented here by the Fool in reverse right next to it. So remain passionate. Know yourself enough. Like, this is both knowing yourself and knowing your own passions. To know to walk away from things that don't serve you, but also give yourself time to make sure that you're not, like I keep saying, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? And then the Six of Swords in the reverse. Now, the Six of Swords, I tend to take in the upright, I tend to take as a reflection of, like, protecting others. This guy is helping this mother and child. He's helping them get away from some sort of turmoil. But it's also kind of like being willing to accept the truth about things as your responsibility, which is fair. In the reverse, though, I'm getting... Well, and it's okay, so it's also like moving towards this Seven of Swords. And so it's giving me like prioritizing what serves you and what doesn't, right? And being okay to accept what serves you and what doesn't. If it serves you, it's going to serve others in the end, because you are part of the world. You're not an island. So if it's good for you, it's going to end up being good for everybody else. But that also has to kind of almost like go before itself too, in the sense that like good for you isn't just going to be like, well, robbing this bank is good for me. Where it's like, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's you valuing goodness by what is most convenient, what is most, comfortable for you that way. Like, but ultimately, you're putting yourself at risk of prison time or even getting shot. You're putting others at risk of you shooting them. You're traumatizing other people. You're ruining other people's day, if not week, if not months, as the bank has to come and figure out how to make sure that everybody can have access to their own money. You're literally screwing other people over just so that you can have money quicker and easier than working for 5 years for it, right? Or whatever. Maybe, you rob a bank, you're probably going to make more than you would make doing other things. That's fair. But that doesn't mean that it's good for you. So a lot of this comes to like truly knowing yourself. And if you really embraced that you already are a star, you wouldn't be thinking that you need to do shady shit in order to benefit yourself. You would recognize that that doesn't benefit you at all, because you don't want to be a shady person. You want to shine like a star. You are the star. So like, don't hide yourself under a bushel. No, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, right? Part of that means not being given to things that ultimately aren't serving you. I'm all for hedonism. Do the thing that feels good, but don't let that thing do you. Don't let it use you. Don't let it take you away from you. Don't let it define you. Don't let it become something that, again, like that, I have to find that balance. I like my sexuality. I like being open sexually. I like being able to engage in a lot of different ways with different types of sexuality. I like it being part of my art. I like it being part of my expression. I like it being something that I receive. However, if I'm engaging with it so much that I'm watching porn I know is not helpful to anybody, supporting things that I know aren't actually helping anybody, doing things in secret or with certain people or whatever that I wouldn't like other people to know, that would somehow put some sort of, negative perspective on my reputation, then that's not what's best for me. That's not what's best for anyone. If I really want to be able to care for myself and my own, which, like, you don't have to have a family in order, to have this represented. That's just anybody that comes off of you. The people that end up being my clients in any degree, no matter what type of business I'm doing, are the people that I'm caring for, right? So it's that same sort of thing too. You don't want to be somebody that's doing weird shit with kids, but then in the, face of society, you're one of our leading entertainers. Because then all of these people who are given into your entertainment, who have paid so much to go watch you perform, who have done all these different things, are taking on some level of responsibility for having supported you when in secret, that's what you were doing the whole time, right? So like, we're not islands. Every single thing that we do ends up affecting other people that sort of way. And like, if you're going to church and acting like you're a good Christian and talking with these people all pleasantly, and these people think that you're a good Christian, but then behind the scenes you're doing drugs or having promiscuous type behaviors and stuff like that you're not honest about, you're leading those people astray too. So like, ultimately, all of these things are going to come to the surface. Everything is going to be exposed, and we're going to be forced to fully accept who we truly are. So it's best to kind of take this practice and take these steps to do it now, so that we're not screwing ourselves over and not screwing others over in the future. I'm just letting you know that literally is what's going to happen. There's still, there's things that, like, it's not like I'm all proud, like, this is what I do. Yep, I want everybody to know. But I'm willing to accept responsibility for the person that I've been. And that has taken a lot of time. Again, it's not like I'd be super proud of everything. There's plenty of things that I've done and been involved with that I would be embarrassed about, but I've been honest about those things and I will continue to be honest about those things. I don't need those things to be like in my prioritizing. Like I don't need those things to be the things I put out there with everything, but I'm also not going to lie about it. I'm not going to try to deceive people into thinking that I'm somebody that I'm not. I've already struggled with that, right? Just by being a good person that cares about people, people become deceived to think that I couldn't also be capable of being highly sexual. I don't want to live in a reality where those things can't be perceived in balance, where I'm not able to just be free and be me because of the way that other people perceive those things. But if I really don't want to live in that reality, I can't be actively supporting it with my behavior and with the way that I'm projecting the things that I'm into and the things that I enjoy, right? So it's hard, but it's important to know ourselves and to take this time to step back and to really consider what it is that we're doing and to prioritize these things properly, so that when we move forward, we know what it is that we're moving away from and why, and we know also what we're moving to. But I think it's even better to know, if it has to be one or the other, it's better to know the truth of the things as they are and to let the future be unknown. You know, there's so many people that convince themselves that they're so set in their future. Like, oh, well, I sold my soul to this thing. I did this thing for this guy. I signed this type of contract. So I'm set in my future. It doesn't really matter what's happened in the past or what's even going on right now. When it's like, the future is the one thing that is definitively uncertain. The current moment is the thing that we have any actual control over. And the past is the one thing that we have to build off of. So like, I think that's a real ass backwards way of thinking, and I don't think it's going to last much longer. I think it's important for us to break these things down, to get real personal with ourselves, and to be willing to be open and honest about the people that we are. And like, you know, that then we'd stop being so startled too when it's like, but that person was such a good musician. How can they also be a predator? That wouldn't blow our minds if we really knew ourselves, you know, and if we were really honest with ourselves. And this is going to be a process where those things are just going to keep coming to light more and more and more, and on more and more personal levels, until we can all be in the light of truth. And we will be. We will be at some point in time, at least for a moment. You know, so that's the bit of caution that we have here. That's the resolution that we have here. Nice little reading. Say little, it's been 45 minutes. But yeah, I hope that this serves you as it serves me. And I'll see you in the next video.